name's Maria. So this is my independent global cultures project, and at first I really struggled with which culture I wanted to do. So I thought about it for a while, and I knew that I needed to go Republican. Because I grew up in a super liberal community, and I'm very liberal myself, as I'm sure you've noticed. And I don't really know much about Republicans, I realized. I kind of just think of a white old man in Texas with a rifle and a low IQ, which I know is probably not accurate of all the conservatives there are, since there are so many of them. At least I would hope that that's not an accurate depiction of them and that there's actually more to their argument. So I decided to find out if they do, which I'm sure that they do. But I just don't know it yet. So in order to find out about that, I decided to join the Campus Republicans Club, and to change my social media habits, I follow a lot of liberal pages, and so I'm consuming constantly one side of the story all the time. So I'm going to unfollow my liberal pages and follow some conservative pages to see what arguments that they have. And then I'm going to do a lot of independent research, watch Trump rallies, yep, and try my best to be open-minded about it. I'm going to look at the main values of the party, and then I'm going to interview some of the conservative friends that I've made. And hopefully at the end of this, I will have a more well-rounded perspective, and I will be able to communicate better with people who have different opinions than I do.
So let's get started. Are you even a Republican if you don't have a cute camel cozy? No. So for this section, I used the ultimate source of truth, Google. I looked up the Republican Party's political platform, and I've been looking at the different tabs that they have for what they believe in and their plans to accomplish those goals. And it's extremely interesting and detailed, and they have a lot of good points. So I've been learning a lot just from looking through this page. I'd have to do a lot more research, obviously. Overall, this has been a really good educational website. I would totally recommend GOP.com if you're trying to learn about the Republican viewpoints. I have to admit that their approach to economy makes a lot of sense, actually. If you're thinking, get jobs now, we need to build the economy faster, I can see that.
Economic growth has been over 3% the last 2 quarters and is going higher. Unemployment is at its lowest level in 17 years. The stock market has gained trillions of dollars in value since my election and has reached record highs.
That's awesome. That sounds like a great approach. Not a great approach, however, if you take environment into consideration. So that's an issue, but I can see why Republicans are very adamant about just increasing the economy now, helping it get back on its feet, because for a lot of people, building the economy now is more important than worrying about the future. They think we need jobs now, and we can worry about preservation and protection later on. I see that, I respect that. Don't necessarily agree with it, but I definitely do respect their approach to business a lot, and I can see why people would choose to vote for the Republican Party in times of economic crisis, or if we really need to advance the economy fast and easy.
Our strength, our flag, our history, our values. Other nations are confident in us. And when we treat our citizens with the respect they deserve, other countries treat America with the respect that our country so richly deserves.
Really like about the Republican viewpoint is their great pride in being American. It's super cool. I'm really used to liberal pages and perspectives where there's a lot of anger and hatred towards the government just because people get so frustrated. But it's really refreshing to see people taking so much pride and being so dedicated towards helping the country progress and grow instead of just giving up on it and being angry. One of the things that we do at the on-campus Republicans Club is we say the Pledge of Allegiance before every meeting, which the first time we did it, I laughed and was kind of uncomfortable because a lot of the people that I talk to don't even stand up for it. They don't respect it. And I think it's a really cool thing to see people still being so devoted to our country. Woke up this morning, checked Insta like I normally do, and the first thing I see is this. pretty different from my normal political morning post. The comments were really interesting to read because there's a lot of variety from the Republicans. Some of them thought it was hilarious and supported it fully, and others were like, you need to stop tweeting, you're making us look really bad. So there are some people who are pretty reserved about some of Trump's actions. Even if they support some of his policies and his political agenda, they still might not support him as a person or him as a tweeter.
Made up terms I'm sure you've probably heard. Who's heard the term assault weapon? Completely made up.
I wish that I could have recorded more of that meeting, but I didn't want to be disrespectful to the speaker that they had there. To make it obvious that I was there as a project, I wanted it to seem like I was actually there as a Republican, so I would be able to talk to people more openly. But there were a lot of really interesting things in the presentation, a lot of things that I agreed with or learned and didn't know before, and a lot of things that I was like, no. So that was good though. It was really good for me to try to be open-minded about it, and they do have a lot more support for their argument than I would have realized. It kind of took away some of the stereotypes that I was believing in, and I do have a lot more respect for gun advocates now. So it's definitely a good presentation for me to be at. I'm definitely a lot more open-minded, and I would be able to have a conversation with an NRA member or take part in a gun rights debate and that sort of thing, so it was a really good eye-opening experience.
This is Anna. She's a Republican. When did you become Republican?
So I grew up in a really conservative household, so I guess that was like kind of the start of it. As I grew older, I took like different couple political science classes, and I government and history, and I would really say junior year is when I started thinking about becoming a Republican, but senior year is when I really solidified it. I interned for the mayor of my city, who's Republican, and under him were 3 women Democrats. So I was interning for 3 women Democrats and 1 male Republican, and I just kind of weighed my pros and cons between them. I got really involved in the local politics in my hometown, and then I got really involved in just like keeping up to date on like national politics, and that's when I really turned conservative. This was when I was like
Okay, so how would you describe a Republican platform? Like, what about it makes you choose Republican?
Yeah, just the term limited government. Like that term alone is like what made me think it, I would say, which sounds weird because I mean I agree with a lot of the other stances, but just the fact that there's limited government is what really drew me to it.
Okay, so do you have any examples of politicians like support values?
Yeah, sure. So again, the mayor of my city, his name's Brian Barnett. He is the current second vice president for the United States Conference of Mayors, and I think he really exemplifies like what a true Republican is, the term limited government, but still being involved in your city, knowing about your local politics, and making sure that you're there for each individual citizen. Republicans are more about local rather than federal politics, so I think just the idea that each city knows what's best for their own citizens was really important to me, and that was really exemplified through my mayor. Trying to think any national level ones that people would know. There is right now, but
That's okay. Are there any like hot topic issues you look for candidates have a specific answer to when you're looking up to vote for?
honestly, no. I look at all of their different sides to everything, and then outweigh the pros and the cons. A big thing I look at is out of their stances, what can they actually create change for?
Okay.
So, people who are, like anti, just like something crazy, like people who are anti-gay marriage still, like that's never going to change. Like in my opinion, I really don't think that they're going to take away the rights of gay people to be able to marry, which is like justly so. Like it is a civil right, and I agree with that, which is weird because that's against what a lot of my party thinks.
Yeah.
But like stuff like that, I just kind of push it aside because it's never going to be an issue in the first place. It's never going to be something that they can actually create change on. So I look towards the things that they actually can. So like focus on healthcare and tax cuts and stuff like that, things that I know are happening right now and are going to continue to happen.
Okay, so how would you describe the Republican attitude towards poverty, and what do you guys think to change that?
Yeah, so the first thing is like the idea of trickle-down economics. It depends when it is, when it's working. Trickle-down economics is basically you tax everyone less, but particularly the rich less, because the thought that because they own all these big corporations, because they're the ones who are paying the people, they're going to give that extra money that you give to them in taxes to the people. It doesn't always work out, but there have been multiple instances where it did. During the Reagan era, it really did. Their current tax plan that they're trying to pass nationally, the Senate side is really working towards getting people who are in poverty to have their tax cuts decreased by a lot. The current tax plan that's like going through, we'll see what happens with it and like where it goes, but like they are focusing on the lower class and the upper class. So they're cutting down the taxes from both of those and like either maintaining or like raising a little bit the middle class, which a lot of people don't like because a lot of us are middle class. But if you think about it, they're helping the leftist agenda through the poverty, because that's like a big thing for like Democrats. Right. It's like definitely helping like the poor, and then they're also doing trickle down economics at the same time. So that's why I think that's like a couple ways that they're trying to help it out.
Okay, so do you think voting Republican could help to maintain the middle class? Because I know right now the divide is growing, and that's a huge issue in the country.
Yeah. I think. Wait, can you restate the question again?
Yeah, just to avoid the growing gap between upper and middle class and the decline of the middle class, like how do you think the trickle-down economics would work towards furthering that cause?
So, like, trickle-down economics, when you look at it, there's, like, obviously the upper class, which they're taxing less, the middle class, and then the lower class. So under the new tax plan, upper class is being taxed less, and then their money, that extra money that they get from those taxes, they're going to put into their workers. And then for those middle class, while they're being taxed more, they're also being paid more. So it kind of like stipends that out. And then the lower class is being taxed less. So they're obviously going to rise towards the middle class too. So I think under this tax plan, it just kind of goes like that.
Okay.
I think it's gonna actually help out the not the like feminine wage gap, but the like actual like wage gap between different classes.
Okay. There are a lot of complaints about how the Republicans focus on industry also harms the environment. Do you have any comments about that?
Yeah, so I actually disagree with that side of Republicans. I think each Republican has their own stance on their different things, and I agree that Republicans typically do focus on industry rather than environment. Personally, I think that we need to find more jobs in the environment industry. So like solar paneling and the technology industry, we really need to push, because if we push those types of industries, it's really going to increase our revenue as a country in general, our GDP. If you look at what China's doing with their like solar panels and their like environmental technology, we just need to shift the mindset of America and get them more pushed into like those types of jobs rather than like the hard-working industrial, you know what I mean? Yeah. We just need to focus on those types of jobs so that the environment is not as impacted by us as it currently is, because it's really bad.
Yeah.
And like I don't agree with like how the United States is literally like the only country to not be going through with the current environmental plan that the United Nations like put through. Like even North Korea's on the side with it. Like even China's like agreed to it. And there's us just like nope, sorry. Even though like we helped make a whole bunch of it, like whatever. But.
Just one last question. Do you have any favorite things that you like about the Republican community or culture?
Honestly, we are okay. I feel like the Republican culture is very close knit, because a lot of people tend to look at it as like the evil side. Like we're the side that doesn't believe in human rights, and we're the side that doesn't believe in like equality or whatever it is. Like I feel like a lot of those stigmas are placed on us, and it's not for all of us. It's directed towards specific individuals, but then it just clumps us all together into one. Right. And so I guess I like the fact that the Republican community is there for each other when other people aren't, and like we support each other's causes as long as they're just and they're right. And so like I am a part of College Republicans, and a big part of it is just like supporting each other and like going out to these campaigns that we know are the right campaigns. You know what I mean? Like we're not going to go volunteer for someone who is a Republican, like a proclaimed Republican, but then not, you know, creating the right environment for their constituents or like voting on the right things for their constituents. And so I guess I just really like how like supportive each other is with everyone, because to be honest, we don't get that much support outside of ourselves. So
True. Thank you so much.
So I love doing that interview with Anna. She's so knowledgeable and well-spoken, and I love talking to her about political things because she never gets angry or offended. She's totally understanding to explain herself, and I think that was a really cool way to understand more about the Republican culture. Something that blew my mind were her stances on the environment and gay rights and Black Lives Matter and all of those things I consider to be really Democrat or liberal, and she's all for those too. So I think that's really cool and shows how you can be a Republican and still care about social issues that promote equality and fairness and human rights, that sort of thing. It just depends on your stance on economics and the government's role. So it's unfortunate, I think, that the Democrats tend to align more with social views of mine than the Republicans do, because I could see myself in some situations supporting the Republican approach to government, especially, and sometimes economics. Overall, I definitely learn more. I think it's a lot more. I have a much better respect for Republicans now. Like there is a method behind what they're doing. Obviously, Anna is educated, and so it's not just people who don't know what they're saying, they're just bouncing off what they've heard from their grandparents or just super conservative people in their communities. She's clearly done a lot of research on this and got very involved and decided for herself what she thinks is important, and that's something I can respect no matter what you choose. Almost anything that you choose. A lot of things that we talked about in that interview that really surprised me, and I feel like I'm much better educated on what it means to be a Republican, and hopefully I won't have that automatic negative reaction anymore. I feel like that's starting to go away as the semester goes on, because not everyone is extremist, as maybe we've seen, or the sources that I've been reading from were like making it clear I've never heard of a Republican. Black Lives Matter. Automatically siding with the Democratic candidate, stand on social issues. There are I'm totally willing to be part of it. Someone who has different political views than I grew up with, and I can definitely feel myself starting to be more open to different parties and what they're saying too. Overall, I really love this cultural immersion project because it forced me to get outside of my comfort zone and do something I wouldn't normally do, and it's on a really important topic. Like, I should know who I'm voting for and why. So I'm so happy that I chose to investigate Republican culture, and I'm now a lot more educated, and I can partake in political debates more easily, and I feel like I have a lot more background knowledge from both sides of the story, so now I can make more educated votes, and I feel like I'm a much better citizen now. Really great experience, and thank you so much for watching. Bye!